from Hamilton, New Jersey, connecting faith and life. And you're watching RFTV. Woo!
Well, some ways that students cheat in school today are by asking other friends for answers in certain tests. They'll look at their notes, and when the teacher's not looking, when they think the teacher's not looking, they'll look at their notes and other study guides.
Some of them will ask their friends what the answers they know, if they know them. Some will search online. And nowadays, some students will text each other the answers.
So they can get good grades and won't it affect their overall report card when they show it to their college applications.
I think that cheating is definitely on the rise because the past 2 years of my high school experience, there have been numerous friends in different classes, all sorts of types, that have asked me for answers.
Because they have a lack of trust in themselves that they didn't study, or they're pressured to do well on a certain exam, so they're pressured to, I need to get this grade, so the only thing that they have left is to cheat.
I think when people cheat is stealing from the other kids' hard work from actually preparing ahead of time and applying themselves.
I think kids today think that cheating is not a sin because they feel like if they were to cheat, they'll be getting a better grade on themselves.
I don't think cheating is ever justified because I think that people should have pride in themselves and think that they're prepared for a certain exam. And if they're not, then they should just accept it and know that I need to do better next time or I need to prepare more.
As you're taking your chem test, you notice the kid in front of you make eye contact with the kid next to him.
They quickly glance at each other's paper and swap answers on the Scantron sheet.
Later in the week, in a pre-calc exam, you stumble upon a problem you can't solve.
You wonder if it's okay to go on your graph calculator and pull some information that is downloaded on there to help you out.
The teacher said you could bring those calculators into class anyways.
The following week, you're in English class and the teacher gives yet another stern reminder that anyone who submits papers with plagiarism will fail not only the paper, but the marking period as well.
We don't have to tell you that each of these situations involves cheating of some kind.
Cheating in school. That's what we'll be talking about today. Hi everyone, I'm Thomas.
And I'm Emily. And this is Real Faith TV. We'd like to thank the students of Trenton Catholic Academy in Hamilton, New Jersey for helping us open the show today.
And for sharing some of the methods and motivations behind the cheating they experience.
Unfortunately, it seems that cheating is rampant in most high schools.
In a recent ABC News survey of 12,000 students, an overwhelming 74% admitted to cheating.
Well, let's meet our spotlight guest, Becky, who will share some of the cheating she witnesses on a daily basis,
as well as the types of cheating she has taken part in.
When I was in 7th grade, I didn't really, think of it as a thing that occurred often, but when I got to high school, I definitely saw how widespread it was and how often it happened. Cheating today has definitely evolved. I know there's a good example of the way it's gone techno is in a lot of separate classes, you have group chats with certain kids in the class and you guys take turns doing homework. Say, I'll take the homework on Tuesday, someone else will do it on Wednesday, and then you send a picture of the homework to the group, and so the group all has the same homework. But there's still the old-fashioned ways of cheating, such as, hiding a note somewhere on your person when you're taking a test. I've heard of kids writing the answers to the test on the inside of a water bottle and then keeping that water bottle on their desk during class. Kids put notes inside their shoe so that they can casually glance at it. Sometimes kids sit on the notes. That's a little more obvious. I think that there's somewhat of a double standard when it comes to cheating as far as society views it. I think that there's a lot of pressure on teenagers to, be active and, be involved in extracurriculars and sports and, things like National Honor Society. But there's also the flip side of, the pressure to get good grades. And especially with applying to college and getting into college, there's just so much pressure from all angles to, be the perfect applicant. I think that there's also a lot of pressure from parents to get good marks. You know, some parents are very strict about the grades that their kids get, and sometimes out of fear, those students will cheat to get a good grade. I think that if there were less pressure on students to, you know, be everything, then I honestly do think that cheating would be less common.
I think a lot of times we don't even realize that we're cheating, and there's so many different factors that go into it. Like she said, with the extracurriculars and everything that we do, I mean, I don't even think people realize it's as bad as it actually is.
Definitely. Well, let's see what our studio guests have to say about the topic.
Okay, they are Lauren,
Caroline,
Ella,
Michael.
and Drew.
So what have you learned about cheating throughout your years of school?
Sometimes you're in a pinch, your brain really can't cram any more information in the night before a test. So, you know, my friend will take a picture of a worksheet and make that the screensaver on her phone. Or, you know, you'll just slip a worksheet in front of a plastic binder cover and just leave it under your desk so you can just glance at it once in a while. You don't even use it, but it's just there in case you need it, like a safety factor, you know?
Do you guys think that cheating on homework is technically cheating too, like sending homework?
I guess it's cheating. And we used to have a really strict, like, hallway police guy. If he caught anyone copying homework, like, he'd write them up because he's like, no, that's cheating.
I think there is a problem with cheating because if you do it once, then people will think it's okay to do it again and again, and eventually it just becomes a bad habit where you're doing it all the time.
Sometimes I think the problem with cheating is that when one person does it, they may think, okay, well, I did the homework, and this person needs it, so why not help him? But I feel that when you give someone the homework, it's also giving them permission to say, okay, well, I can just come back to you and get the homework again and again and again. And if they never end up doing their homework, they're not really going to learn much.
So why even cheat to begin with?
Maybe it's out of laziness and procrastination.
You didn't feel like studying, or you put it off long enough that you aren't prepared for your exam?
Maybe you only care about getting good grades, and you'll use whatever means possible to get them, including cheating.
Or education isn't important to you, so you don't really care about what you're learning, or that you have the opportunity to learn and work hard in school.
Maybe you just feel like everyone else is doing it, so why not?
Or perhaps you are struggling in a particular subject.
Rather than reaching out for help, you turn to cheating just to get a passing grade.
Next, Becky talks to us about why she thinks people cheat.
And whenever she feels cheating can be justified.
I think people cheat because honestly it's easier than doing the work. There's also underlying reasons, like you might be very busy one night, you might have a practice or a meeting or both of those things in one night, and you just really can't get to the homework. So for a class like physics or chemistry, when we get online homework and we don't know how to do it, or you know, it just takes very, very long, it's easier to just look up the answer than it is to actually sit down and do it, because some of those assignments will take hours. I think there's a lot of peer pressure to cheat in school. I mean, a really common situation is that maybe a freshman or someone does their homework and their friends ask them for it, but they're really not comfortable with giving it to them. And I think it's very unfair to take advantage of someone like that just because, you know, you don't feel like doing your homework that night. I know that cheating is more common in classes where the teacher doesn't really care that much. I think more accountability would deter people from cheating because I don't think there's enough of it right now. Websites like Turnitin definitely deter people from cheating. I know that when I have to hand a paper in on Turnitin, I don't look at anyone else's paper, I write it on my own. I think that if teachers put effort into reducing cheating by making different worksheets or different tests or things like that, then I think that also really helps to deter cheating because you can't copy something that's not the same. Sometimes, especially kids our age, get overwhelmed with work they're expected to do. There are some nights when you could have homework from every single class that you're taking, and it's just impossible to get it all done. So it's easier to copy one worksheet for homework and then write that paper than it is to do both. On some nights you could be doing anywhere from like 4 to 5 hours of homework, depending if you have to write a paper or even if you're just studying. So maybe that 20 minutes you save by copying a worksheet instead of spending an hour doing it yourself really is beneficial to you in the long run. When you really don't understand the material, or maybe the teacher's not available to help you and you need to get something done, I think that asking your friend for help or maybe even copying their work can be okay sometimes if you really have no other option.
Do you think cheating's ever justified in school? Why and why not?
I feel like when you cheat, you only cheat yourself. Like, you're really not helping anyone when you're cheating, whether it's like the person if they get caught, or like even just you because you're not learning anything.
Like Becky said, I think a lot of people justify cheating when they're in honors and AP classes, and then they're playing 2 or 3 sports, and they're doing all these extracurricular activities. And this just gets overwhelming when you're trying to do all that, especially when you're a senior, trying to apply to college and trying to be like the model applicant. For me, I was overwhelmed this year, but I had classes where I really wanted to learn. So although I was tempted to cheat, I was like, I really like this material. I like what I'm learning. I'd rather just take the time and like learn it and like get through it somehow instead of just cheating my way out of it.
Yeah, I think that there's too much pressure on kids in honors and AP classes, because I know that when I was in regular for freshman year, my first semester, I was in regular classes and like barely anybody cheated. But when I moved on to honors second semester, everyone in the class cheated. They would look at the teacher's desk and like look directly at the answers, and they didn't care. And you know, it was like became a huge issue in our religion class.
What do you guys do when you don't want to be cheated off of?
I'll like legit just like cover my entire paper. I'll be like leaning on my desk like, okay, I'm doing this, like that. Like when I work hard, when I study for like hours and I'm like, okay, I know this, I'm not letting anyone look at it. I'm like, nope, this is mine. You know, I worked hard on this project. Nope, you can't even read it.
In my geometry class, kids would always ask me for answers for homework. And I'd say most of my answers are actually probably wrong. I had no clue what I was doing. But then I'll be like, but I think I can help you with some of the stuff. I think the formula for this one might be something like this. And then you just kind of, if they ask to cheat, I won't let them cheat, but I will try my best to try to help them learn the material as opposed to just sit there and let them try to cheat off of someone else.
So why is cheating wrong?
Cheating is a form of lying, and it breaks the 7th and 8th commandments.
You shall not steal, and you shall not bear false witness.
Cheating is considered stealing because you pass someone else's work off as your own.
It is considered lying because it is not in fact your work.
And as stated in the Catholic Catechism, lying is a direct offense against the truth.
To cheat on a test or steal a paper from the internet and pass it off as your work is to act against the truth. It is dishonest.
However, convincing others of their dishonesty is a difficult thing to do, especially when it delivers the results they want.
Have you guys ever had to confront someone who is cheating or turn down someone who is asking you to cheat?
I know it can, like, if one of my friends asked to copy my homework or give them answers on the test, I kind of feel bad for saying no, because then they try to like guilt you into giving them like, oh, come on, you're not being fair. And when they're not really being fair, when you studied all night or even longer to pass the test and they didn't.
In my school, it's like if you talk during a test, you're considered cheating. So every time someone asks me, I'm just like, can't talk, I can't talk. That's my excuse, I guess.
For me, when it's something like homework, say they'll ask, oh wait, so what's the answer for this one from the Romeo and Juliet book? I'll be like, I don't know, but I found the answer somewhere in this general area, and I'll give them like a passage of like 20 pages, and usually they'll go over and like try to find it in there, and then they're like, oh well, I can't find it. I'm like, you weren't looking hard enough.
When it comes to Shakespeare, like, everyone knows, like, in my grade that I love it, and like I'm one of the only people that actually like understand it or have an interest in it or whatever. So when people are reading that kind of stuff, they always be like, Ella, please, like, help me, like, what's the answers? I'm like, I read this last semester, I don't have the worksheet anymore. I can tell you all about the story. I can't give you exact answers, but by me telling them like what's going on, like with the characters and the plot, it helps them when it comes time for a quiz, because not only do they have the worksheets that they were able to fill out, but they're also like listening and learning to what's actually going on instead of just copying answers.
Well, let's go back to our spotlight guest, Becky, where she'll talk about areas where she sees cheating on the rise,
as well as the consequences that come to those who get caught.
I think that cheating today is definitely on the rise, if for the sole reason that it's become easier, like with technology. I think that, cell phones make it like a quick picture of a worksheet and sending it to a group, something that you couldn't really do even a few years ago. When I was a sophomore, this kid who was in my Latin class took a picture of an answer sheet that the teacher had left on the podium, except that it was a fake answer sheet because the teacher suspected him of cheating. So she left out a fake answer sheet, and he took a picture of it and used it on the test, and she caught him and he got a 0 on the test. In one of my old history classes sophomore year, a kid hid a piece of notepaper under his chair while he was taking a test, and the teacher saw it. And she also happened to be the moderator for the National Honor Society, so she did not let him apply. The consequences for cheating definitely vary among teacher to teacher, which is why I think that it's not really severe enough. It's easier to get away with cheating with a teacher that's definitely more lax than another teacher. You know, I know some teachers give you zeros on tests when some teachers just take away whatever you're using to cheat, which kind of creates a disparity that I think allows for a lot of cheating to go on. The school as a whole doesn't do as much as individual teachers do in my school. I know there are teachers that will give you a zero on the test if they even think that you're cheating. There are teachers that will kind of let it slide. I know our school is developing an honor code for next year, which is, from what I understand, is kind of like a group of teachers that anyone who was caught cheating has to answer to, and the consequences are then given out by them.
So what do you think would stop people from cheating in school?
Well, I know in my school, my biology teacher last year, she made like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 different copies of tests, and it had the same information on it. It just, none of the tests looked the same.
If people just stop stressing about the grades so much, it's really like a weight lifted off of you. I know my AP Psych teacher, she was just very like chill about everything, and she'd be like, you know, if you don't feel prepared for a test, just wait, you know, like you can't cram that much information in a day. Just take it tomorrow, like it's okay. It's one test in the scheme of your life. It's not gonna affect you that much.
Yeah, and I feel like the more work that teachers give you, whether it's like to take home for homework or like stuff in the classroom, you know, I think you're pressured to cheat because, you know, there's so much work. But if they're more relaxed with it, then it kind of gives you the chance to like do it yourself and actually learn how to do it.
I think teachers should implement more harsher repercussions. My AP Psych teacher, you cheated on like a test or homework, she was very strict, she took it away, you got a 0. And I think that really teaches people like a lesson of you can't just take the easy way out, you have to work through it. And if you do make a mistake, and if you didn't study, or you just don't know the material, you still have to power your way through and can't just take the easy route out.
I think that teachers should be harsher with it because I know that in my Spanish class, a boy was cheating and the teacher just told him to stop and she didn't tell him to do anything else. She didn't take his test away. She just told him to stop, and then he kept right on doing it. So I think that there should be harsher repercussions for it, but I think that when it comes to like homework and other things, teachers should like make it like easier than what we have now.
Yeah, like if the students see that what happens to one person after cheating, they'd be like, oh shoot, I don't want that to happen to me. Yeah. If there are harsher actions after, so.
Maybe your parents will check your grades, your parents see it, and then instantly you get that text, come downstairs right now, we need to talk. And it's the scariest thing you'll ever see. You get that text and it's like, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do? And then suddenly you go down, they yell at you for cheating, and it's like, my life is over. It's just that, it's that simple.
God created us to be people of integrity.
In the book of Proverbs, chapter 10, we read,
Whoever walks in integrity walks securely, but he who makes his ways crooked will be found out.
To have integrity means to act with moral honesty.
Think about a time where someone was dishonest with you. I bet it damaged your relationship.
As with any sin, cheating damages our relationship with God, ourselves, and others.
The Catechism says that lying is destructive of society. It undermines trust among men and tears apart the fabric of social relationships.
How does cheating break down social relationships?
I've had friends where like they'll be my friend in class because they sit next to me and they need me because I'm smart and I can get them through it. But then, you know, when I see them outside of school, it's like I barely get like a glance in the hallway.
I think that if someone wants to cheat off of you and then you don't let them and then they get mad, are they really your friend? Like, does it really matter, like, if they get mad? Because
yeah, it creates so much like unnecessary drama when you say no to someone that like all of a sudden there's this big issue between like, you know, rumors going around and this and that, and then like this whole thing blows up. It's like, we weren't even friends in the first place. Like, why is this even an issue? And it seems so big at the moment, but then it's like, it doesn't even matter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, more or less to me, I feel the difference between a quote-unquote friend and a true friend is the fake friend, they'll say, oh, here's the answers, whatever, I don't care if you learn this. They'll just give you the answers and say, whatever, go away. And then your real friend will be like, okay, well, what's wrong? Why didn't you get this? They'll sit down with you and try to help you. A real friend would actually do something to help you learn the stuff.
I made a new friend this year. She was a freshman in pre-algebra 1, and she was having such a hard time because she only spoke Spanish. She was from Honduras. I would go And it's not like I'm a great Spanish speaker, but I just helped her enough to get her through her work. And in the one marking period I was helping her, her grade went from like a C to an A. And some of the people in the class were like, that's not fair, she's just giving her the answers, like it's in Spanish, you don't even know, like she's just telling her what the answer is. That's not what was going on. Like I was helping her, I was teaching her how to do it. If something didn't look right, I would tell her like you might want to do it again, and she'll get the answer by herself. It was like the best feeling in the world, like teaching someone, not just cheating for someone.
Mm-hmm. There definitely are alternatives for cheating, and the thing is, it does affect relationships. For one, there is tension between teachers and students. Extra measures have to be taken to ensure cheating doesn't occur.
Tension occurs between students as they cheat of each other or sneak around to use illegal devices.
There is tension between students and the school administration as they figure out how to punish the actions of cheating.
None of this is according to God's plan.
One bad action creates many other problems that are only multiplied as more and more students decide to cheat.
Finally, our spotlight guest Becky shares how we cheat ourselves when we engage in cheating,
and how cheating damages our own integrity and our credibility in the larger community.
I think one of the more unseen consequences of cheating is that you're really not retaining any information, and you're almost cheating yourself in the sense that you're not learning anything new, you're not evolving or adapting. Most of the time, it is a lot better to do the work yourself and to learn something new than it is to just find the quickest way to get it done or to copy it. Cheating kind of puts you on a slippery slope that it gets hard to stop, and it gets easier and easier to keep, looking up the answer or taking credit for other people's work even, instead of doing the work yourself and maintaining your honesty. I think that later in life, cheating really affects you. I mean, not so much cheating on a little homework paper in high school, but if you take it into college and you cheat on projects and papers, then I think that definitely affects how you're gonna work in the workforce and how you're gonna be a member of society. I think there's a lot of secondhand knowledge about cheating in our faith, like as far as morals go, being honest and having integrity. While they don't say, well, it isn't in the Bible that cheating is wrong, I think that it's very strongly implied that it's important to be honest and it's important to do your own work. I think that some of the more serious forms of cheating, like plagiarizing a paper or cheating on a test, is definitely stealing, because you're taking work that is not your own and then that you did not come by honestly and trying to pass it off as your own work. And I think that really goes against 10 Commandments. Like, it's very clear, laid out that, thou shalt not steal. It really is pretty obvious that taking someone else's work and, putting it in your paper is stealing. If Jesus were around today to comment on cheating, I think that he would say something along the lines of that it's only hurting yourself, and that it's much more important to, maintain your integrity as a person and to do your own work, because it really is more beneficial to you to, sit down and do your homework and learn something new than it is to copy someone else's.
So what does someone's willingness to cheat during school say about how they might navigate through challenges during their life?
I think it might teach someone just to take the easy route out instead of working through something and trying your best and succeeding or failing. I know this one kid in my history class sophomore year. He's a smart kid, but he was known for cheating all the time. And I just, senior year, he got into Princeton University. And so I'm thinking, well, did he actually earn a place at Princeton, or did he just cheat his way through? And if so, then how is he going to be able to survive at Princeton and at whatever job he's going to get? So I think he's setting himself up for failure.
One of my favorite TV shows is MASH, that really old doctors in Korea show. And there was a quote from Klinger, and it's, to grow a beautiful rose, sometimes you gotta shovel a lot of manure. And when people cheat, they don't realize the hard work behind really accomplishing something. They know the ins and outs, the easy ways, but they never have that feeling of fulfillment.
And cheating through school isn't going to help you get a job, because if you don't know how to do something properly for a job, no one's going to hire you.
So, how can you act different and avoid cheating altogether?
You can go against the tide of cheating and commit to being a person of integrity, like St. Paul wrote in his letter to the Colossians, chapter 3.
Do not lie to one another, seeing that you have put off the old self with its practices and have put on the new self,
which is being renewed in knowledge after the image of its creator.
To be renewed in the knowledge of your Creator means you must embrace virtues of discipline and honesty.
You must put in the hard work of studying and learning to fully appreciate what is a worthwhile pursuit.
So how can we stand up to cheating in our schools?
We'd love to hear from you.
Contact us at realfaithtv.com.
Or share your thoughts with us on Twitter.
And we'll leave you today with this thought.
The church has always encouraged and valued education.
God has called you to be a student right now, and He wants you to apply yourself fully.
If you're struggling in a certain subject, don't be afraid to reach out to a teacher, parent, or tutor to get some help.
Live in the truth in your academic studies and test taking.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on Real Faith TV. God bless.